Gracie Jiu-Jitsu rocks. Welcome to the Gracie Jiu-Jitsu Rocks podcast, a podcast dedicated to Gracie Jiu-Jitsu and all things Gracie, including self-defense, competition, anti-bullying, women's self-defense and empowerment, nutrition, and most especially, the people involved in Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. This podcast is for the average Joe. It's for anyone who practices, trains, teaches, or just loves to talk about or hear about Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. We'll explore the lives of Gracie Jiu-Jitsu practitioners, how they got involved in the art, and what effect it's had on their lives. So buckle up and enjoy the ride. Welcome to episode 65 of the Gracie Jiu-Jitsu Rocks podcast. As always, I'm your host, Marty Josie, and thanks for listening. Today my guest will be Professor David Adiv, and we'll be doing that interview in just a moment. Before we do, let's start with a jiu-jitsu quote. And that quote is, "Jiu-jitsu is a mousetrap. The trap does not chase the mouse, but when the mouse grabs the cheese, the trap plays its role." And that's from none other than Grandmaster Elio Gracie. Okay, on to our interview. And after the interview, make sure to stick around for the Make a Difference, Make an Impact segment, where today's guest host will be Carlos Diaz, Gracie Jiu-Jitsu black belt and owner of Gracie Jiu-Jitsu Destin in Destin, Florida. Okay, Professor David Adiv is a 5th degree black belt and co-founder of the original Gracie David Adiv Association, which is now known as the Gracie Humaita Association. He's very involved in the association, working closely with Master Royler. Professor Adiv was part of Royler Gracie's training team and accompanied Royler and Rickson to Japan for Royler's first Vale Tudo match, and for many other fights is an integral part of Royler's training team. His knowledge and technique have allowed him to also become part of Royler's creative team, and he was featured along with Master Royler in 2 of his best-selling books, BJJ Submission Grappling and Gracie Jiu-Jitsu Submission Essentials. He's an accomplished BJJ competitor and has competed in many tournaments, distinguishing himself with his technical and methodical style. At the first annual Rickson Gracie International Tournament, he not only brought home the gold medal, but also won the award for the most technical fighter. And he's considered one of the most technical black belts in the world. Professor is the owner of Fightzone, Fit to Fight, a fighter clothing and products company, as well as the owner and head instructor of Gracie New Jersey, an academy which focuses on all aspects of Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, including self-defense, sport jiu-jitsu, submission grappling, and MMA. So I know you're going to enjoy this interview, so without further ado, let's speak with Professor Adiv. So I'm speaking with Professor David Adiv, owner and head instructor of Gracie Jiu-Jitsu New Jersey and head instructor, co-founder of the Royler Gracie David Adiv Association. So welcome, Professor, and thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me today.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for having me on your show.
I'm honored. Professor, you've had a long and interesting history in the martial arts. I believe you were born and raised in Israel, and I believe that's where you started your martial arts journey. So if you would, please share with us how it all began for you and what that journey's been like for you, sir.
Yeah, that's correct. I was born in Israel, and that's where I really started my journey. So it was, I think I was, I would say, 6 years old. I think there was this sign on one of the shelters that somebody's going to come to do a demonstration to do judo. And I had no idea what is judo or anything. I didn't even know if it's anything that just kids invited. So I went there, and this guy come in actually showing all these, they wore gi, white gi, and they show all these throws and all these beautiful things, and I was, my God, I want to do that. So I asked my parents. They signed me up, got me the kimono, and I started. I was very, very young, and I stuck with it. I really liked that. And, I was practicing every class that they had. And then I started to go out to other towns to practice with the teachers. They invited me and other kids to come and train other places. This way we'll have more mat. Start competing. We did all good. We were enjoying our training. It was just awesome. Judo is a beautiful art, by the way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Beautiful. And then I had to go to the military.
Okay.
So I had to stop kind of that, and then in the military they teach different. It's called Krav Maga.
Sure.
In Hebrew means hand-to-hand combat, basically. And then they probably took, judo, karate, all this other stuff. And I mean, we wore uniform. We had boots on. We had backpacks. We had weapons on us. It wasn't like that on the mat. It was not relevant to anything that we do today.
Right.
Nothing like that. And
very, very different then, because it's for a very different situation.
Yes, sir, completely. Yes. That's just really how to kill or how to survive. I mean, literally, as a soldier, you go out there, you learn how to, to survive in the field. And sometimes in order to survive, unfortunately, you might have to kill somebody.
Right.
So it was kind of rough, but I had to go through that too. It was pretty good. It's also nice art, the Krav Maga, for people that likes it. But again, all of them combined, nothing is close to Gracie Jiu-Jitsu as far as I'm concerned. In every aspect, that's the way I look at it. So, I mean, that means when I saw Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, the impact that it was on me was tremendous. I just fell in love with that, just like everybody else.
Absolutely. So how did you get introduced to it? So you started judo at a very young age. Sounds like you caught the bug and started progressing.
Yes, sir.
How did that take you to get introduced to Gracie Jiu-Jitsu?
Yes, and then I came to the United States. Was 1985. I came to America, and as a judo practitioner, I was looking around, wanted to do my things, find places to train, competitions. And then one day, I see Hickson and Hoyler and, I don't know, other friends from the family in a tournament competing and, doing things. I'm like, what is this?
Yeah, eye-opening experience, right?
Yeah, I mean, you're doing this for a long time. You know all those stuff. You know the Niwaza. I said that purposely. And then you see these guys that basically come in, suck you to the ground, bundle you around, and the fight's over.
That's a great way to put it. That's exactly what they do.
Yeah.
Where was that?
I saw that tournament was in California, if I remember correct. It was in California somewhere. Boy, it was late 80s. Then I started I said, and I kind of introduced myself. They were talking to everybody. It wasn't like, I was special or anything. Everybody went there and introduced themselves, and trying to offer them something, soda to drink. It was funny,
Right.
And the drink water. I mean, there was like, and then I started to research and see what's going on. It wasn't as today. It wasn't like you were going on the internet and research. It wasn't anything like that.
Right.
You get a phone number and start making phone calls and asking questions. And I then find out they're doing seminars. And so I signed up. There was seminars. I think the first one, I don't remember truly. It was so many years ago, whether it was in Connecticut or in New York. And then Horion and the family came, and And that was it. And that was it. So I got very close to Hickson, and we started to talk. And he would come to New Jersey, to do seminars everywhere. He would go everywhere. And then once he asked me if I'm willing to help his little brother, Hoyler, to come to America and see if I can, work with them for seminars. I said, absolutely, no question about it. So Hoyler came, I picked him up at the airport, and then we went and started to do seminars. It was, very hard to do seminars. Nobody would come to the seminars. People would make like 4 or 5 people. We wouldn't even pay for his ticket. Then the UFC.
And that changed everything, right?
Yeah. Then Hoy's go there and show the world what is Gracie Jiu-Jitsu it's all about. And that is just like you said, changed everything. Everything for everybody. It changed. Even though I knew what it is, and we saw that, back in the days, if you remember, that was very hard to find fight information like on tapes. It was only on those big tapes.
And there was VHS tapes.
Yeah, those big ones, VHS. And there was the Gracie in Action 1, Gracie in Action 2. And if you had contact, you might saw other fights, from Brazil of the family or friends of the family fighting. Back in the day, it was different. It wasn't like today. And jiu-jitsu was jiu-jitsu, karate was karate, judo was judo. Everybody traditionally held on to their art with, with honor. Oh boy, it was if you would fight another jiu-jitsu guy with other than jiu-jitsu rules, you would be a traitor. Like something is completely wrong with you.
Wow.
So,
It was a very exciting time.
Yes.
I know when I first saw it or got introduced to the UFCs, and it was such a, style against style, a very pure environment like that, and it was a really beautiful thing to see the different styles going against each other. I mean, and the UFC today is very cool too, but I really liked how it was with those style against style. It was something, just really great about that.
Yeah, that's true, very true. Also, that's how I believe Horion's vision was, to promote Gracie Jiu-Jitsu was the UFC, to show that, there is this, what we call Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, and it's not violent, and it doesn't matter how tough are you, suppose, big, strong, as long that you work the curriculum, work with the right people, wrote in positive manners, meaning that there's no hate, no hostility. If you do it right, if you eat right, if you take care of yourself, watch your diet, then you can win, or let's say, then you're not going to lose. Like Elio Gracie, God bless him in heaven, say, you're not going to, first don't lose. If you don't lose, you have a chance to win. And this really was the message as far as I understood it, to look at what we do and say, okay, guys, here, you don't have to kick a tree and whatnot. Not that I'm saying is wrong with that or anything, but if you don't want to kick a tree and if you don't want to be dictated by, also there's culture behind that. And, you want to go, it's like a family, Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. We learn this from a family. And you see that when you learn something from a family, like I'm sure you have children, so you know that when you have kids and they're different, you know that one needs different things from the other. He needs a little bit more attention here, less attention here, all this and that. So you come out of yourself and give it to them, and looking at them, and do what you got to do to explain him.
No, that's a beautiful way to put it. You adapt to what that family member needs, right?
That's right. You adapt, and also you come out of you. It's not all about you. You try to come out of you and help someone else. That's what's happening in our academies. Yes. This is why this art. For me, it's not much art. I think this is a science. I look at it as a science, but I'm not going to say that it's not an art or it's not a philosophy. I look at it this way. If you're an artist, you can look at it as an artist, and it's good for you. If you're a philosopher, you can also look at it as a philosopher. If you're a scientist, you can look at it as a scientist. That's the beautiful thing about that.
I agree completely.
I can't draw for nothing. I cannot draw anything. I can't, it's hard for me to do all these things on papers, or I'm not a creative guy at all. But when it comes to the mat, I really know what's going on. And so this is, and I look at it as if I'm a researcher. I like to research things, and that's what has to be done. And when you research something and you have an environment that supports the academy, the family, it's different. So I was trying to say, I believe that Master Elio, God bless him in heaven, message was just that, that there is a way to do all of this different in a positive way. That's how I saw that message again, and that's how the UFC started. And then you see Royler comes back to do a seminar. And we have so many people, and everybody wants to learn, everybody in a nice, great, positive way. It was awesome.
Yeah, that's exciting.
And
it must have been incredible to be part of that.
Absolutely.
As it started spreading.
Yes, sir.
And I believe you spent time with, a lot of time with, of course, Master Royler, but you said you spent a lot of time with Master Hickson.
Yes, sir.
And you went over to Japan with him as well.
Yes,
on some
sir.
of those trips, right?
Many trips. I was fortunate, someone introduced me to Royler, and Royler and I kind of click as a friend. Royler always say, you have to be my friend to be my students. First, you have to be my friends to be my students. And Royler lives by his, what he says. He basically, when he says something, that's what it is. And I learned this from the whole family. This is how they're not just saying things. If they say something and you're around, you want to listen and try to think about what they say. I was fortunate to be very close to him. Like when the seminar took off, people wanted to open schools, and we start to support them. That's when the RGDA started. Today there's no more RGDA. There's Gracie Humaita straight. The old school, the Gracie Humaita that came from Rio de Janeiro, since Royler moved to America, we just switched that. We still have it on paper because we have a company for RGDA, so nobody gets in trouble. We pay taxes. We did everything right for all the seminars and stuff when he came in, but when he immigrated to the United States, we switched everything, and it's today called Gracie Humaita Association, which is, in Botafogo, Rio de Janeiro, the Gracie Humaita where Elio Gracie was teaching. So, So anyhow, Hickson is the man, always was the man. Everybody that wanted to know something, and if he had to fight, had to go and talk to Hickson. And that's what happened. When Royler fought, I remember in Vale Tudo, and even actually it was before that I was also invited to train with Hickson when there was a fight, if you remember, when Amaury Batachi fought Master Yuki in Brazil. And that was like the event that the winner from that event supposedly will fight Hickson. And then there was all this, the family, the UFC started, and Royce fights here, Hickson fights there, all this kind of stuff. And so basically Royler and Hickson, he asked, actually Hickson, I remember, if I believe so right, or Royler offered to help Hickson to prepare himself to these fights if they're going to take. Apparently they didn't take because Master Yuki won. I don't know what happened there, but I remember start training with Hickson for that, even though before when, we were just going to train at the academy in Pico back in the days. And so it was nice to see Hickson train for an MMA fight. I mean, that was just, this will stay with me for the rest of my life and help others too. Yeah, so I was actually on Royler's support team, competition team for Vale Tudo, and every trip that he went, I was there with him, and some of Hickson's trips too. when Hickson fought, I was there. I think it was Funaki, if I'm mistaken, yes, and some other fights. So we were in Japan frequent. And to train, it was sometime Rodrigo, Renzo, Gracie, also part of the family was fighting, whether it's going to be on the same card or a different event at the same time. We were all meet there. Mm-hmm. So it was many times I saw Renzo there, Rodrigo, and they were there. And of course, right away, we got together, and Hickson was showing everything to everybody. And Renzo is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Renzo Gracie is really unbelievable. He's a fighter and a teacher and a person. Very charismatic. He's just an awesome person. And then he was also there helping everybody. Even Halson, I remember, was there, Everybody was giving something, It was nice to see that.
What an awesome time to be, a part of all that and to be over there in Japan. What are some of the things that stand out in your mind about being over in Japan on some of those visits?
Other than the whole trip, together with everybody, it was the way, the training, truly the training, the precise training. How they were breaking everything down to try to parallel the fight to a specific opponent. Okay. It's not just training. We're training all the time, like we train every day. But when you fight somebody that have specific, ways, like I remember that at some point, Hoyler, everybody in Japan, and Hickson also, of course, I think it was for Hickson fight. But anyhow, the Japanese, back in the day, there was a lot of pancreas and shuto. And, and pancreas and shuto, they high percentage going after the legs. Yes. Going for leg locks. So, we were just going after Hickson legs, and it was just crazy. Everything I know today, how to defend the leg locks, I learned from Hickson. And, of course, from Hoyler, too. He was also attacking, defending, and that was, incredible. And again, it's nice to go after leg locks, but there is a science behind. When you're going after leg locks, you both going after each other legs. There's 50% of you dominate anything. But when you take somebody back, mount or hold them and pin him on a side control, you more likely dominate the fight. It's not he doesn't have your legs and you have his legs to attack. But but in the meantime, when that happened, I remember there was this thing that they said, don't go after anybody's leg. If somebody goes to your leg, your defense is not attacking his legs. Get out first. And then if you see the legs, attack it. And back in the day, I remember in one World Championship, Renato Barreto took somebody's footlock. I think it was the first championship in '96, the first Mundial, and everybody booed him.
Really?
Yeah, because it was a leg lock.
Oh, wow.
Like, what are you doing?
That's wild.
Yeah.
Wow.
And everybody booed him like, it's not cool, you can't do that, it's someone else's kind of thing. But, and when Hoyler started in Abu Dhabi, he started to, work the legs and attack the legs and a lot of fights he win that way. Yeah. So it become popular.
Yep, you're right. Yeah. And continues to this day to become even more popular.
Absolutely,
For sure.
Absolutely, yeah. Hoyler, everybody, I think the Gracie family, if it's the leg lock, if it's the guillotine with the arm that came from Renzo, if it's, taking the back, mounting and nobody moves, come from Hicks. Everybody has something to contribute to today's, what's happening today. Mm-hmm. You know, I remember, I think it was early 90s that Royler in Japan had someone's back, and instead of putting the hooks, he triangled him in the back. I mean, the fight is documented. And then now, 30 years later, 30 years later, everybody's doing this, but nobody saw this before he did.
Wow, that's cool. Yeah, a lot of practitioners today really take for granted, I think, just, I don't want to say easy, but how different it is, not only being able to just jump on the computer and pull up, any number of videos and training programs, but just the information that's out there. But the pioneers are the ones that paved the way and kind of evolved it along the way. So much respect to them, of course. Let me ask you about, you were with Grandmaster Elio and Master Royler in doing the book, Grandmaster and Master Secrets to Finishing a Fight. Tell me a little bit about what that was like doing that.
Yeah, I was fortunate to be on a few of his books, and that one was unbelievable. For me, the honor to be on the same book that Master Elio. I don't know what I did right in his life, to be honest with you, to deserve that. But it was unreal, unbelievable. Royler Gracie is a very methodic person, pedant. He does everything right. There's no cutting corners. He doesn't miss anything. Everything he does. And all his books and videos, whatever he did, he put so much work into it. And everything is just like a clock. We would be there at the academy. Everything is ready for the cameras. Master Elio would come, and he would, of course, fix everything, fix all the technique, make sure that everything is correct, and everybody sat down, and you there with the 90 so years old person, clear, and every word he say, everybody stop everything and doing what he says. Not to make him feel good or to, make him, thinks, oh, you're the master, because that's what it is. That's the right thing to do. And then I saw this, I see this with his kids, like how important it is for them to ask him questions, to see that he does pay attention. He's out there correcting and fixing things and changing or not, whatever he's doing. He's not just sitting there waiting for Royler to say, come do this, do that. And this is part of, like you would see, I can tell you that I was fortunate to do a seminar with Hickson too, even in Japan and all over the United States. And as soon as Hickson showed something, Royler would run into him and ask him questions about the same thing he just showed. The first guy to run in,
That's amazing.
Amazing. And that's what I do today. Every time I go to Sarah, he do something, I run and ask him, because I can see that. I think I know that, but when he showed that, I saw something here that I missed or I just didn't know, whatever. And go there, ask, and make sure that I saw it right, and then, discuss it with him in front of the students.
What a great example, even back then, to show, you're always the learner, right?
That's right, and always the learning and show this to the students. It was very, very big lessons for me to convey this to the student, to show them. And so, and then the camera comes in and doing the photos and over and again, and they look at the photos and he do it again. It take probably 2 weeks, more than 2 weeks, to make that book. And it was just awesome experience, just to be around Elio,
I bet.
Yeah.
So he really wanted to make it perfect, it sounds like. And I was honored to be able to have him on my show a couple of years ago, and what an honor it was. He's such a inspiration and wealth of knowledge, and just so gracious, so down to earth. It was just amazing. But talk a little more about Grandmaster Elio and his influence on you, if you would.
Well, what I saw from Master Elio was a very, very tough guy. I saw that, and when I met him, he was, early 90s, late 80s. So he wasn't a kid. He wasn't so young, but he was at the academy every Tuesday. Mm-hmm. And then he would teach kids class. And actually, I think it was, if I don't mistake, it was only the Valente kids. They were little kids back in the day, and he would teach them private lesson. And so I would, try to stay and watch. I think it was at 2:30. It was nothing before or after. So I would just make a note to be there and see him. And what I saw is, again, something that influenced me until today, probably for the rest of my life, and the same thing to my student. He emphasized on the defense so much that I quoted, one day it clicked. And what clicked is that he was trying to say that when you defend something, when you teach somebody how to defend, you have to teach him what are you defending from. That means you teaching them the offense and the defense. But if you work on a defense or teach somebody how to defense, you not necessarily have to teach them how to defend. So you just teach them raw offense. But when you teach a defense, you have to tell them, okay, you defend from the armbar or the choke or the throw. I don't know. So now you learn how to defend parallel to the sequence of events of the attack. That means that you have to know what you're attacking.
Yes.
And then when you fight, when you attack, you know the option of your opponent's defense. So you try to avoid them. And that was, I think, what he was trying to push everybody to understand. When he was talking about the defense, yes.
That's an awesome lesson. I mean, it can't be overemphasized. And I think that might be one thing that is missing with a lot of beginners these days, at least from my observations. In a lot of places, it's kind of normal to get caught up in the desire to have a lot of new, fresh things and submissions and, a lot of offense, and you want to have a lot of new ways to attack.
Yes, sir.
But if you focus a lot on that, especially at the early stages, you only get that part. Mm-hmm. And like you said, if you focus on the opposite, on the defense, you get both.
That's
you
right.
learn what you're defending against. So it's just a more sound way to learn.
Absolutely. And when you, like I said, you focus only on the attack without understanding the defense, it's a weak attack. The attack, that means that what's going to happen is when you attack, your opponent is going to teach you how to attack better because he's going to defense, and you will have to find a way to counter his defense to continue to attack.
True. Very true.
So if you want to learn, for me, one step ahead means that I have to learn the defense. This way, I am one step ahead when my opponent is blocking my attacks, and I'm expecting them. I know them. I've been there before. I try to avoid them. I switch and do whatever has to be done. Not
I
just.
couldn't agree more, sir.
Yes, sir. So yeah, that was a great lesson.
Yes. What kind of dog do you have?
Oh boy, I have 3 dogs.
Yeah.
I have 2 Mickeys. I don't know if you know what that is. That they call Miki. It's a mixed breed. Little guys. Okay. They're polygenic. They're not even 5 pounds.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then I have a Yorkie.
Okay.
Little guys. I had a bulldog before, and then I found out that I'm allergic for, dog hair. It was hard for me to breed. Wow. Yeah. So when he passed, after 14 years, I got little guys, and they're polygenic. They don't have fur. They're sweet. They're nice dogs.
They add a lot to your life, don't they?
Yeah.
Awesome. So I read a line on one of your blogs, on a blog post that said, if you give, you will feel better. It's a law of nature. So can you expand on this a little bit and how this belief influences your life?
Yeah, it is law. It is the law of nature. When you give, you get. You know, I mean, this is a little bit complex. I don't know how much time we have, but you know, karma, right?
Yes.
People call karma. And that means when you do something, you get what you gave, what you did.
Yes.
And it's true. And it could actually be proven because when I don't have the blog in front of me, but I can show you that there is phases of development since the Big Bang, right? There was inanimate, vegetate, animate, and society, like physics, botanic, biology, and society. That's how everything confirmed to what we are today. It was first physics, right? Mm-hmm. And then there was after the separation, things got together, and there was mountains and water, and then trees and plants and flowers grew, and after that, animals grew, and then we were part of them in some way, and then one day we realized we're different than everybody else. And then we're human. What does it mean, human versus animals? There's a little free will. Yes. A little bit of free will. You know, zebra is a zebra. And he's going to be a zebra. And then I also say in one of my blogs, you don't need to teach a tiger how to fight.
Yeah.
Because he was born a tiger. And, you know, you can't change that. Everything out there, all this diversity that actually maintain the balance in the universe on planet Earth, that what we know, is basically because of the fact that there is different species and everything, and everyone does what has to be done to maintain what we have, life. So it looks to me that in the first three phases of development, the inanimate, vegetate, and animate, there's no free will whatsoever. That means that the cause and effect is obvious. Right? If you put two materials together that explode, they explode. You know, if you shoot a gun, right? You push the primary, and there's an explosion, and the bullet goes. In vegetables, the same thing. You put the seed in the ground, you give it water, it'll grow. If you don't give it water, it will not grow. Right. You can investigate that. That means that the cause and effect are immediate and obvious. In biology also, you break your leg, it hurts, you go to the doctor, he does what has to be done, and then he fixes it up. That means that it's obvious, and we can deal with it. We can fix it. We can see it. So cause and effect mean positive and negative. Always, in every element, there is positive and negative, and then something bigger growing. You have a deficit, somebody come and tell you, hey, there is a choke out there. Oh, I didn't even know. Now I know. Then you show them how to do it. Now you know how to choke or how to defend the choke. It's man and a woman. Then there's a baby. Electricity. Anyway, in the fourth phase of development, the effect is not obvious. There is a cause. You give something to somebody. You do something bad to somebody. You disturb the balance, like you would disturb before. You know, there was a balance in a cartridge, and you disturb it, and the bullet shoots out of the casing or whatnot. You disturb the balance, and then something happened. So, in society, the fact is not obvious. That means when we do something just like everything else that they have a purpose has to happen. But it doesn't. You can't see it.
Right.
Because we cannot investigate ourselves. It's like I don't know where I came from. Nobody knocked on my door. One day I appear. I have no idea where I came from. I don't know what am I doing here. Don't blame me for anything. Don't praise me, because I didn't do anything about that.
Right.
But if I come out of myself, right? Out of myself, not go out there. My parents were nice. I grew up in a place that everybody go to synagogue, to church, to the mosque, and they teach me right from everything, and then I do everything right. It doesn't count, because this is, there's two qualities: my DNA, and then the environment that impose all my qualities, better, good or bad. That's it. And I had nothing to do with that. But when you come out of yourself, when you do something you don't have to do, nobody taught you. You just do it because you want to put people together, like Elliot, what he did, how he put us all together in a positive way. And he gave. And when you do something like that, then you, in a way, disturb the balance in a positive way. Mm-hmm. You're making a step, you're making something grow. So what's going to come back to you is the same, on the same line, on a positive line, since nothing grows on a negative. And because anything you do on a negative, it will die, or it would not continue. If you learn something wrong, you're not going to be able to use it. If you learn something right, you'll be able to modify it, and it'll always be with you. You're always going to use it. You're always going to fight with that. You're always going to defend that way, or you're going to take it further away. It will grow. That means that the way I look at it is that everything that we have is for us, is for everybody. And the most important thing for us to truly understand is that we are different. Different. We're not the same. Though we're equal, but we're different. I'm born different than you, otherwise we would be the same person.
Yes.
And if I can convey this to my students and try to show them that an individual is important to be individual, it's important to be like that, then they start to accept each other. They're not trying to change each other.
That's great.
They trying to say, okay, if I can accept you, and I don't think I know everything is only my way, and that's the way everybody got to be, then I have an opportunity to learn from you. And as you see, how did we get to where we get? We learn from generation. We learn from each other. We learn from previous experience. That's how humans learn. The animals don't have to do that. Right. They have all their qualities within them the day they were born.
They go solely on instinct and that inward intelligence. And we have that too, although we suppress it a lot of times. But we also have, like you said, free will and the ability to learn, and also have an open mind. Because if you happen to have been raised and a lot of positive traits, a lot of great knowledge passed down to you, and you were raised well, that's awesome. If the opposite was your reality and you were raised, really badly and, with some bad ways of looking at life and people, then that's obviously not good. But if you can rise above that and realize, if you have an open mind, you can always learn.
Exactly.
And going back to what you said, the differences among individuals, as long as we respect each other and differences, the world's going to be great.
That's the point. The way I look outside. I see trees, I see birds, I see animals, and I see they're all different kind of animal. And each one have one part to do, and they know how to do it. Mm-hmm. And then think it would be easier if there was only lettuce, tomatoes, and bunnies. Who needs all that? But but if you look at it, you see that when there is more creature, or maybe more differences, more opposite of negatives, the creature is more advanced. Amoeba. There's not much in an amoeba.
Right.
There's not much. But then take a butterfly. Oh, I don't know. Take something else. Take a lizard or a fish. It's more complicated. And then take a dog, and then take a lion, and then I don't know. And then take a human. Look how
complex.
Yeah, complex. And that means that complex comes from that difference.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
And that's what actually keeps the balance. That means that's what I was trying to say. When there is differences, you put them together, and something grows. And then you keep going, keep attaching them together, keep connecting them together. Something grows above them, positive, like electricity.
Yes.
You take the negative, you positive, and then there's a light. I mean, it's funny that humans learn how to do this and find this, that we can build electricity and everything else in between. That means that, like I was saying, it looks to me that every element have this, otherwise it would not be an element. And we can do that in the first three phases, physics, botanic, and biology. And then we cannot do this in our society. We can't get along with each other. We can't take...
amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, we can't... we don't realize that he's him, she, he, she, I'm me. And if we can put our desires together and agree, something big is going to grow. That's how we grow. That's what I try to teach my student. When you give a little bit, and then you can receive a little bit, and then both grows. And then add more and more and more students, it doesn't matter. I'm a Gracie Jiu-Jitsu teacher. That's what I do. So I do the same thing in my academy, but it's everywhere.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Yeah, you can even apply that to not just our, general society, but even the world of jiu-jitsu. The politics can get so involved where we look at our separateness instead of the differences can be great, and,
that's right.
And we can be something even bigger collectively among jiu-jitsu. But that's a whole other subject. For the sake of time, I want to switch gears real quick, Professor, and you've had the chance, you've had a relationship with someone who's making a big splash in the UFC currently, and that's Mickey Gall. Okay. So talk a little bit about how that relationship developed and what that's been like for you.
Yeah, Mickey Gall is my student, and he's a very nice kid, just a good kid all around. First human, right? Then a warrior, Shanzu. And he's, I believe he was maybe 15 years old or 16, right around this area, came into the academy with his dad and signed up. And got a gi, start to train. Right off the bat, I realized that kid is going to be something. And he was just very, very talented. There's a lot of talented guys out there. There's a lot of people that have talent. But there is a specific talent that I see that can go further than the regular talent. Not just being, good in jiu-jitsu and have a photographic memory and understanding. Rather, somebody that have those quality of asking questions, of trusting the people around him, whether he's a student or his teacher. It just, I saw this in him. He would listen. He wouldn't try to, his argument was, show me better. How do I get it better? What does it take to, do that in a nice way? And also, I saw a lot of courage in him. And then not just courage going in head-to-head, with another person. As everybody have that. Not everybody, most people have that. The courage to, to sacrifice. It's different. And, he was just training, and then he was, start to, going to places to learn how to do a stand-up here in New Jersey with some of the guys around here, the Miller brothers, and they would just do a little, he would go there to spar with them, to train with them, brother. He basically, at the academy, he learned everything from our academy. And then he goes out there and train with other people. Went to Henzo, to the greatest Matt Serra. Matt is awesome.
Absolutely.
He's an unbelievable guy. He's just an awesome guy all around. And I told him, I say, go out there and then see how you feel. See how you feel against this guy. See, and I'm doing good. Everybody, and then I know that everybody like and respect this guy because he knows, he knows his ways. He's not going out to humiliate anybody. And a fighter knows that. Somebody come to train hard with you, he's not trying to humiliate you. And they respect and appreciate that. They like to see somebody good that give them good training and bring them to the next level.
Yes.
So a few years ago, he comes to me and says, I want to fight MMA. I'm like, okay. Because I had guys that fight MMA before and did very well. But they didn't took it as a career. And then I said, how serious are you? He's like, I'm dead serious. That was his word. I'm dead serious. I want to, just like that. And he's just like, he's so sincere. And then I realized that. I saw he said, I want to make sure that before I go there, you can be in my corner and you can watch what I do. Because I believe if we can do together, I'm going to be okay. I say, well, I think that if you're very sincere and you want to do it and you're going to put all the time, I'll be there for you. Okay, he goes, okay. 2 weeks later, I got a fight.
Wow.
Yeah. It's, there's a lot of fights here. Everybody can find a fight. Amateur fight, MMA, 2-minute rounds, the amateur rules. So the day actually he told me that, we start to work what I learned, a lot. Like for me, for 6 months, I stopped everything, and then we learned how to, like when he told me that, I wasn't watching the UFC. I wasn't so fanatic. I didn't, if I was somewhere, I watch it, but it wasn't like so crazy for me. And when he told me he wants to do that, I started watching the Bellator, the UFC, and then I realized what's going on. Like, and as far as Gracie, as far as we're concerned.
Yes.
And then what I realized is that people lose the bottom control. I mean, not being on the bottom or being on top, but they taking maybe the person down, and they are unable to keep him down. So first, of course, the clinch. He already knows how to exchange. He already knew how to throw punches. If you see his early punches, he doesn't even throw one punch. Because I asked him not to. I told him, if you get in, you take it to the ground, you don't have to worry about anything. If you start to exchange, it could be 50-50. So he did everything. He does everything right. The last fight, he asked me, can I say, go ahead, do whatever you want. He did well. I think he did well. Yeah. I don't know. So what? He got hit. It's not a big deal. He hit the guy harder.
Exactly.
So it's not a big deal. He doesn't mind. He needs to be there. He needs to feel this, to see, get up and keep going. I'm so happy that he got up and keep going. I knew this is it. He's going to be a champion. No problem. Anyhow, but in early training, that's what I emphasize on, holding the person on the bottom, scientifically. What does it take? You know what it means to stand up in base.
Yes.
So if you look at standing up in base, you'll see that there's no way the guy can stand up other than standing up in base. No way. He can't. Unless he's like, I don't know, some crazy athletic guy that kind of jump and throw his legs like, crazy stuff.
Right.
I've seen somebody do this and got a knee in the face once.
Oh, man.
Anyway, so that's what I was working on. Scientifically, breaking that ability to stand up in base. And if they do, we go into the back and finish the fight. We mounting. Well, mount for me is either mount the front, mount the back is a mount. You know what I mean? Like if I mount somebody, whether I sit on his chest or on his back, is a mount.
Right.
And and that's what we did. And so most people would not be, able to keep up with him. If he's in a side control, he would mount and finish quick. So they would sacrifice before the mount. They would either turn away from me, or into me, and try to stand up. And that's what we worked. You turn in, we do this. You turn away, you do that. And again, everything I taught them, I learned from the Gracie family. I did not make one thing, never invented anything, nothing.
Wow. You just passed on all that knowledge, and he sounds like he was really willing to listen and put his faith and confidence in you and your knowledge.
Yes, sir, he did.
And his ability, of course.
Yes, sir, he did. And,
that's great.
He's very good. Yeah, we have few guys now coming up also that's probably going to be in the UFC soon, hopefully. But, he's just an unbelievable kid, and I see his future running up to the championship without a doubt. I'm not sure which division, but, whether it's going to be 155 or 170, but it's going to be one of them. I don't know.
Very exciting. Very exciting.
Yes, sir.
Well, I'll be watching, of course, his continued development and going up the ladder. One last question before I let you go.
Yes, sir.
With all that you've done and all that you've accomplished, what are you the most proud of, Professor?
The most proud of is probably to be able to teach people between right and wrong.
Nice. That's huge. That is huge.
That's the truth.
Well, you've certainly had a heck of an impact on a ton of people and all the lives that you've touched. I really have a lot of respect for you and everything that you've done and accomplished. I want to thank you very much for taking the time and letting me and my listeners get to know you better. So I really do appreciate it.
Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity. I truly appreciate that. And then I hope we'll talk again someday.
Thank you, sir. Long, healthy life to you.
Same to you, sir. Thank you.
Okay, really enjoyed that interview with Professor Adiv. What a very interesting, knowledgeable, and insightful person, for sure. Up next is the Make a Difference, Make an Impact segment, and our guest host today is Carlos Diaz, Gracie Jiu-Jitsu black belt and owner of Gracie Jiu-Jitsu Destin in Destin, Florida.
Hi, this is Carlos Diaz of Gracie Jiu-Jitsu Destin. Today, I want to talk to you about balance. Balance, by its very nature, is always dynamic, always moving, and constantly in need of adjustments. Balance and its importance in sports is pretty obvious, but what about life balance? Most of us are pretty busy, driven by tasks that have a sense of urgency. And we usually neglect doing one thing for the sake of completing another. When we have time to sit back and reflect on how we did, we usually think of doing things differently. Most of us talk about doing what is more important, more meaningful, and even more impactful. It totally makes sense. But how do we start doing things differently? Let me propose a new approach. Please try with an open mind. Give it 30 days or so to evaluate and tell me what you think. Most of us stay organized with our to-dos and appointments with a calendar. We look at it on a weekly basis, usually on weekends, and we plug in tasks and to-dos as much as we can. A full calendar is a good calendar. That's what most people feel. Now try this. Next weekend, take a piece of paper and write down your life roles. For example, for me, I'm a father, a grandfather, a husband, and a son. I'm also a friend to my friends. Yes, I'm also a school owner, Jiu-Jitsu instructor, and also a Jiu-Jitsu student. Using this as an example, write down your life roles and then plug in all your appointments, to-dos, and whatever else as it relates to your roles. If they do not fit in a role, write them to a side and then consider their importance in relation to all the other things you have to do. I'm also a firm believer that you have to take care of yourself so you can more effectively take care of others. To have a balanced self, you need to work on you. The 4 main roles to work on yourself is your physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual self. So write these down also as roles. Once you write them down, schedule tasks and to-dos on a weekly basis. Addressing them and write them down on your notes just like you would any other task. Also place as much priority on those as you would those other tasks. This approach will not help you do more, but it will help you do what is more important. And remember, a balanced self is a happy self.
And that's going to do it for this edition of the show. As always, I thank you for listening. I appreciate all feedback, so if you have feedback, please don't hesitate to give it. If you have ideas for the show or for guests, please let me know about those. You can leave feedback on the website at www.graciejujitsurocks.com. You can also leave feedback on iTunes, and while you're there, make sure to rate the show. It helps us with our standing in iTunes. If you haven't liked us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter, please go ahead and do that. And don't forget to share the episodes on your Facebook and social media. Again, thanks again for listening, and until next time, this is Marty Josie, and I'll see you on the mat.